Sahana Sahana Punatu Sahaduryam Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. Any questions on what we have covered? So, what have we done so far? In this chapter, we studied about self-analysis. So, what is the whole point of self-analysis? That we have to understand ourselves, find the self within. What is the purpose of it? Why are we going to do that? Because there's a law of life. What is that law of life? Do you remember? Nobody.
Is that we're all seeking bliss?
No, law of life. It's a law. We studied the law, remember, at the beginning of the chapter?
Divine self, purify.
You should be pure.
Yeah, that is an instruction. You should be pure is an instruction. What's the law? You're right, but that's an instruction. That's not really how we should be studying Vedanta. Vedanta should be a study of the law. If you are pure, then the agitation goes. Okay, so the actual law we had studied is that the divine, where is it? Sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. You do whatever we do in this world. If you choose to do something negative, okay, the choice is yours. But if you do choose to do something negative, then you will meet with the whirlwind, tremendous mental agitations, and a lot of problems in the external world. So both internally as well as externally, you meet a lot of resistance. You reap. A similar law to this is the law of harvest. The law of harvest is you sow a few seeds, and then what do you get? You get abundance out of those seeds, right? So when you give a little of something, you get a lot of that back. You give a little bit of love and you get a lot of love back. You give a little bit of hate and you get a lot of hate back. So it's not like it comes back in the same proportion. It comes back in amazing proportion. Even for good and for bad, for both. So you try doing some hanky-panky, then you will get that in amazing proportion. And if you choose to do something good, then that too will come back to us in an amazing proportion. So when we find that there is trouble, when we find that there is agitation, when we find that there is a lack of fulfillment or satisfaction, we feel that there is a resistance from the world, we have to start looking within to find out what is that thing we are doing. This is always very difficult because most of us have a natural bias towards ourselves. The natural bias towards ourselves tells us that we are right and you are wrong. Everybody feels that. In psychology, it's called the IKEA effect. IKEA effect means that when I make some product, any product, and I say, what is the likelihood? IKEA, because, IKEA is a company where you have to sort of make your own furniture. You pay them so that you can make furniture. They give you, of course, the parts. But so you get the parts and you create the furniture. This is not something most Indians will be happy to even hear of. Try to implement any such thing. But you basically, IKEA means you make your own furniture. They give you all the parts, they give you beautiful design, and then you make it. Now, they did an experiment where people made that furniture. And then they said, okay, so how much do you think we could sell this particular piece in the market for? And everybody gave whatever they had created an extraordinarily high value, and the same thing created in exactly the same way and sometimes better, but by somebody else, they gave it a lower value. So if you make a table that is very wobbly and can barely stand, you say, how much will somebody buy it for? You say, oh, I think you'll buy it for 25,000 rupees. That is, this table can't stand. Why will anyone pay 25,000 rupees for it? No, it's something very good. So we have this thing, a well-recorded thing. I mean, it's researched quite a lot of how much we have this IKEA effect, this personal bias that if I did it, it's a good thing. If you give an exam also, you will say that, no, the teacher didn't give me as many marks as I deserved. Anything. There's a famous Akbar Birbal story, which you all must have heard, that Akbar was a very generous king. So, have you heard this story? I might tell you the story for the millionth time. Everybody knows this Akbar Birbal story? No. Okay. So Akbar was a very generous king. And so a poet one day came to his darbar, into his court, and said, sang praises. He wrote beautiful, exquisite poetry on Akbar, and Akbar was like, really, wow, what beautiful poetry. Praising Akbar. So he gave him some fabulous amount of wealth. Then after some time, he started thinking that how is anything this man is saying true? Okay, he said, you are the greatest, you are this, you are that. He just sang a lot of praises of Akbar. You're the best monarch, you're a monarch better than God himself, all sorts of things he said. First he was very happy, gave him all the stuff. How can any of this be true? So he called that poet back and said, you have been lying to me, you have been unnecessarily flattering me, I'll throw you into jail and you'll be beheaded. So that poet got really frightened. I was only making nice poems for you. Why are you going to behead me? But then the king was very angry. What can you do when the monarch says that you have to be beheaded? So that poor poet sent for Birbal. Birbal was Akbar's minister. So he sent for Birbal. And he told Birbal, please help me. I was only singing praises of the king. Now look, I'm going to be beheaded. So please help me. So people went home and thinking, how can I help this person? I mean, as a poet, it's his job to talk, to praise the king. But he has now gone over. He said, you're better than God also. It's gone really crazy about his praises. Birbal didn't know what to do. And then as he was still walking around thinking and all, he saw a mother talking to her own child, saying, oh, my sweet darling, you're the best child. You are so great. There has been no more handsome child in this world than you. You are the smartest. You are the most beautiful. It's just talking to an infant child. Because you know how mothers are. They think their child is great. That's they have given birth to, God's gift to mankind. So this mother was, and her love for the child carrying on. Oh, it's the most beautiful child ever born, and this is just. And then Birbal went to the poet and told him, he understood this whole phenomenon. And that is how he went to the poet and said, okay, I will help you. Tomorrow morning, we will go meet the king. So, so this is what basically he explained to the king, that when you see somebody with the eyes of love, that person seems to you greater than God. All the poet meant was, what is his deep love and affection for you? It is not meant to be taken literally. Every mother will think that about her child. Every poet will think that about his king. And so he was released. The moral of this story being that when you look at something as mine, you cannot help but love it. And when you love it, you can't see anything wrong with it. No mother sees anything wrong with the child. And no lover sees anything wrong with the beloved. Nobody sees anything wrong with their religion, with their country, with their anything, whatever you identify. So your maximum identification is with yourself. What chance of seeing anything wrong happening? It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. Then how will we ever know that something I'm doing is wrong? I can't ever see it. Then how am I going to know this? How will I know? What will give me an indication that something is wrong? We all have gotten involved. Don't get involved. Follow line of thought. One chakkar I took and all gone.
When you reap the whirlwind.
Very good, Bharat. Only Bharat is listening. Yeah, Shilpa, correct. Oh, sorry, Shilpa, correct. When you meet with agitation, then thank God, because this is a time where we can actually stop and say, look, I'm agitated, so definitely I'm doing something. Okay, this much at least is clear, that there's no way I can be agitated unless I'm doing something wrong. And I am agitated. And I can't for the life of me see what wrong I'm doing. This is your chance to find out something new about yourself. When you feel that resistance from the world, when you feel that things are not going okay, this is the time to find it. So how will you find it? You can take help. You can take help from the scriptures, through your studies of the scriptures. You can take help from teachers. You can take help from any amount of people. People you respect, people you don't respect, whatever it is, you can take help. But the work must be done by us ourselves, because who can do it? Even if somebody sees my fault very clearly, and even if that person comes and tells me my fault, I will not get it. And we as students of Vedanta or spiritual sadhaks have to be particularly careful about this, because we have the ability to use the scriptures to justify our faults. When somebody is unhappy with us, we say, well, I'm treading the path of righteousness. When I'm angry with somebody, I say, this is indignant righteousness. It is correct for me to be angry with this person because this person deserves it. We use our knowledge to justify our faults. We nag somebody to death, and then we say, oh, but I'm such a loving soul and I care so much for you. If you care for me, then let me live my life, please. You don't tell me how I should live my life. So it's a particularly dangerous thing for us people. When we disagree with people, we say, anyone, I have a disagreement with somebody, we think to ourselves, Vedanta teaches clarity. I have studied Vedanta. I'm a very clear thinker. You are making a big mistake. The assumption of my own, I don't know what, that I am correct. Okay, I am correct. Now let's talk. That's how we talk. Where is the humility? Where is the belief in my ignorance? Where is the belief in my own confusion? We have used the scriptures, instead of gaining a glimpse into ourselves, we use it as a cloak to hide our faults. Can you even imagine how frustrating that is? That's what Shankaracharya says. Paschannapi chana paschati muda. Those fools who though seeing don't see. So close and still miss it. We don't want to fall in that, right? So we have to say, okay, I am agitated. I won't say I'm calm. I won't say, okay, let me breathe, let me breathe, let me calm. No, I won't say any of that. I will say, I am agitated. I am confused. I don't know how to handle this, and I'm going to try my best. That's what I'm going to say. I can see you're disagreeing with me. I cannot even understand why you're disagreeing with me. I'm going to try and understand. It's a very, very nice thing that Stephen Covey used to say. I don't know if you remember Stephen Covey. At one point, he was a very famous management, whatever he used to do, management, what are these seminars and all he used to take. And he had this wonderful line. He said, seek to understand before you seek to be understood. Seek to understand before you seek to be understood. If you're fighting with your spouse, you feel he doesn't understand me or she doesn't understand me. How much time have you spent trying to understand where that person is coming from? Subtler and subtler must be our comprehension. Not stay somewhere and say, I'm right and you're wrong, and you are opposing me, so you're a very stupid person. Let's grow up. Subtler and subtler. Especially children will teach you that very well, because children will, when you interfere in the child's life, the child will react, because every being wants freedom. Nobody wants anyone else to tell them how to live their life. Every being is the self. Will the self tolerate it if anyone tells it what to do? It can't, right? We are the self inherently. Nobody wants to hear somebody else's view on their life. Why do you even have a view? And then the child will react. And when the child reacts, you realize what you are doing, how much you're interfering under the name of love. How much instruction. So when you see a resistance, when you see a reaction, when you see something, it's time for us to step back and understand ourselves. We can do this with the help of the scriptures, the teachers, our colleagues, whatever. Doesn't matter whose help you take. And I do hope you all take help from each other, because that's how we can build a community, right? Of people who are on this path. Only when we talk to one another, that's, when we do karma together and all, you become friends gently, generally, and then there's some conversation, and you realize how it's a struggle for everybody. It's not just a struggle for me, it's a struggle for everybody. It's not like, oh, some people are up there in the skies and everything is fine for them, and for me, it's such a mess. No, it's a mess for everybody. So we will work together and take ourselves out of this mess. None of us is higher and lower. In fact, there's what is higher and lower? Each one is on his path, and each path is individual. So when we interact with people, we can get some, what should I say, some insights into how other people are doing it or whatever. And that's how a community of seekers can be formed. A community of seekers who are individual seekers. Don't please now become a community and it's an attachment, another new attachment we have found. We are all individual seekers. We are all on our own paths, but there are always insights that we can get from each other. Mukesh, what is the dividing line between agitation and guilt? Dividing line between agitation and guilt. It's the same thing, isn't it? Why would there be a dividing line? If you're guilty, you'll feel agitated. If you're agitated, you better feel guilty for having done something wrong. But probably you're talking about some people who, the ego comes disguised in various ways. One of the ways it comes disguised. What is ego? Ego is my own self-importance, how important I am. Okay, this concept is ego. This comes disguised in many ways. One of the ways it can come disguised in is how bad I am, so that I can just keep beating myself up about how bad I am. I'm so bad, I'm so horrible, I've done this horrible thing. This is just the ego. This is just my own importance. Can I forget about myself and get down to doing something useful? I'm so bad, I'm so terrible, God will never forgive me, nobody should forgive me. This time, okay, get on to doing something useful in life. So what you're probably referring to is, you have probably seen that there is this negative thing about guilt, which is just one's own self-importance. So that's just the ego coming disguised. That you give your virtues so much importance, you give your vices so much importance. You fall in love with the fact that you have that particular vice. So that is just the ego. That is nothing productive. Okay, Mukesh?
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
All right. So first topic told us about how the law is, if you sow the wind, you will reap the whirlwind. So if you have reaped the whirlwind in some manner or way, please look within, find out what you're doing wrong, take help, but do the work yourself. The second topic told us that when you keep looking within. Oh, Shilpa, you have a question?
Yes, Janji, related to the Mukesh's question, sometimes you get agitated not because you have done something, but when you are seeing something, so then the guilt is not there. No, when you see somebody hurting a dog or something, doing some wrong thing with others, at that time also you get agitated. So then the guilt doesn't come at that time, right?
Oh, no, but all agitation is not guilt, but all guilt is agitation.
Okay, thank you, Janji.
The converse is not true. All cars are vehicles, but all vehicles are not cars. We studied that, remember? And how do you know what you know? I'm glad you brought it up because these are opportunities for us to straighten out our ways of thinking. Eventually, Vedanta should be a conduit to sort out how we think, not gain so much information, but just sort out how we think. Because once we untangle that mess, nothing in this world is complicated. It becomes very simple. And at best, it becomes a game that you play. I mean, it's like, oh, it's fun, right? So if you're playing a game of chess, there's all sorts of things going on, but for you, it's entertainment. So now nobody wants to look within. Oh, 1 second. Ganga. Guilt is a narcissistic feeling. Yes, that's correct. That's what ego is. You just wallow in your guilt. It is considered tamasic because you're happier to say how bad you are than to get up and do something about it. Okay, so the self is the supreme reality was the second topic, where we talked about why it is so difficult to look within. We don't look for happiness within. Why do we not look for happiness within? Because we're very convinced it is outside. We thought the agitation came from outside, right? Something or somebody did something and I'm agitated. Similarly, something outside gives me joy. This is our belief. Now, why do we have this belief that something outside gives me joy?
Because of our experience.
Very good. Because that's our experience. That's what happens in life, right? You have a nice cup of coffee, then you feel very nice. Oh, satisfied. Morning coffee you've had, you feel surya, or you go to the mountains, you see the rivers. It's beautiful. So we're always experiencing joy from some external thing. You go to the mall, you go to the mountains, you go to vacation, and you're happy. And you're convinced that that thing gave you happiness because you have experienced it. And so you argue that there is no reason to believe that there is happiness within. Because I had a chocolate, I was so happy. I went to see my son, I was so happy. To which he explained it with the example of the
moon.
Moonlight.
The moon. The moon is dark. It possesses no light. And yet, you enjoy moonlight. You can sit and have a picnic in the moonlight. There is moonlight, you're enjoying it. And yet, wisdom tells you there's no such thing as moonlight. Light is all from the sun. Moon is dark. Now, who knows moon is dark? The fellow went up there. You go and ask Neil Armstrong, did you see any light there? He'll say, no, it's all just dark. There are mountains and stones and craters. There's no beautiful moonlight over there. There's no man in the moon. None of this is there. Similarly, while you are enjoying that piece of chocolate, while you are enjoying your trek in the mountains, you realize that there is no happiness there. All happiness comes from within, comes from the self. There is no other way. Just like moonlight is nothing but reflected light, so too every pleasurable contact with this world is a reflected happiness. None of it is coming from there. How do you know it's not coming from there? How can you prove it is not coming from there? Because that very object, suppose you say that chocolate gives me pleasure. That very object, that chocolate, will not give you pleasure at another time. Suppose it is your 20th chocolate. Will it give you pleasure? You've lost the pleasure, right? Suppose it's, even if it's you're enjoying that chocolate and then you get some terrible news, can you enjoy that chocolate anymore? Pleasure is gone. So where is it coming from? It's not in the chocolate. It's coming from within. It is the reflected light. And for whatever reason, if that light is no longer reflected, that chocolate will no longer give any joy. The joy is not stable in that chocolate. So if you wish to remove all the misery, and if you wish to find the happiness, you will have to locate its place and get there. There's no other way. And when you get there, you will find it is the same self in all. So what is therefore the drift of religion is to Go deep within yourself and find your true stature. Let us not make ourselves into bonsai. You know that horrible thing, bonsai? They cut the roots of the plant and you'll have hundreds of years old trees and they're very small. Like that, do you want to live? Like bonsai? Not gone deep into your own self, allowed your roots to be where they should be, allowed them to grow and flourish. Only when those internal roots grow and flourish will the external tree come out beautiful, no? What are you going on, keeping on doing something to the externals? Do it to the internal. That tree will flourish on its own. Take care of the roots, the tree will take care of itself. So, today, that is not what is happening in religion. Instead of helping us go within, it is busy telling us something to do with the external world. Let us convert those people. Let us teach those people something. Let us go and do social work. Let us go and do X and Y and Z. The notion is still outside. So should we stop doing social work? No. If we thought we should not do social work, why would we be trying to put up a university? That too, university. You know what a headache it is? You have no idea how tough this thing is. Where is the money coming from? Where are the people coming from? There's no way. Now, it's like climbing Mount Everest. Some very tiny creatures, not some big institution or something. There are some small David over here trying to fight a major Goliath. Now, what is it we're doing really? Is it the university we are setting up? Yes, we are setting up a university because that's the highest service we could do to mankind and womankind. So we're doing it. But when we do it, if our attitude is not what they say in mountaineering, it is not the mountain we conquer, it is ourselves. Mountain is not meant to be conquered, it is we who are to be conquered. So we have this major mountain in front of us, setting up the world's first Vedanta university. But in our pursuit of setting it up, our attention could go extrovert. That we dedicate, that our whole life is around setting that up. But actually, it's not that. We are merely using this as a method of conquering ourselves. And the way you do it is by service of the world. So it is not that you stop social work. It is that you do it for the sake of self-purification. So what has happened mostly in religious things is, for good or for bad, both ways, it is all extroverted. It forgets that the purpose of religion is to turn introverted, to dig our own roots deep into the soil, to conquer our own selves. All those who have done it did it by their own efforts. And we too will do it by our own efforts. We can get help, but the work is our own. Now, then he went on to tell us the problem with introversion. What is the problem with introversion? Remember the turkey and the ant? So easy to see the flaws outside. So difficult to see the flaws within. When we look at any human being, we should remember these great words of Edward Wallace Hawke. There is so much good in the worst of us and so much bad in the best of us that it does not behoove any of us to speak about the rest of us. Right, isn't it? In each one of us, so much good and so much bad. Each one. So our job is not to worry about other people's good and bad. Our job is to understand ourselves. Okay, so far so good. Very long summary, today, doing the whole chapter. And I hope this is just a reminder of what we have done so far. Not, oh my God, I don't know, did we do this? I hope it's not like that. All right. Okay, so far so good. Any questions? All good? Okay, then we went on to the very important aspect of life. You don't look at people as having flaws. That's just a silly way of looking at it. What we must learn to do is learn to assess people. Just see somebody for what he or she is without superimposing a value judgment on it. If you tell X to come at 10:30, he will come at 11:30. Okay. If you want him at 10:30, please tell him 9:30. It's not so complicated. Don't have to say, oh, he's so irritating. I don't want to meet him. He's never on time. I'm never going to speak to him again. That is why karma is a great thing. You don't get that choice. You see, one of the advantages and disadvantages of volunteer work is that all of you have joined some group of volunteer work, right? Now, so you have joined a group of your own choice, and others have joined that group. You didn't get a choice of who is going to join your group. So you have to deal with whoever has joined. Some people you may like, some people you may dislike, but if you all are working for a cause, then you have to somehow figure out how you're going to work together. And all of that is our wetting stone for the personality. And so it's not, we must not look upon our Vedanta studies as only we come to class. Certainly not that. So then is it come to class and study in the morning? It's not that alone. Because you've only started Jnana Yoga. What about Karma Yoga? What about Bhakti Yoga? Unless we learn to direct our whole personality, it's like using only two tires of the car. Arey, why using 2 tires? There are 4 in the car. Why don't you use all 4? Use all 4. So therefore, your commitment to Vedanta is actually a fairly serious commitment. It is not just, that's why very few people can do this, because it's a fairly serious commitment. It's not just like, I'll just do X or I'll just do Y. No, it has to color the whole personality. Then you are it. It and you are not different. You don't say so-and-so said, this is you. That's where we have to get. So when we start seeing things for what they are, we learn to appreciate things for what they are. There's a beauty in everything. A rose is beautiful as a rose. An oak tree is beautiful as an oak tree. And a lily is beautiful as a lily. And Deep Raj is beautiful as Deep Raj. And Shilpa is beautiful as Shilpa. And Manoj is beautiful as Manoj. And Madeline is beautiful as Madeline. And each person has their own unique nature. Some of which we say is good and some of which we say is bad. What's the point? That is the personality. And the more we can appreciate that, it's like appreciating a garden. A garden is full of different types of plants, right? Some are flowering plants, some are green plants, some are different green plants. Some are touch-me-nots. Some people are very touch-me-not. One lady I know, she's horrified. If we eat on the road or anything, she's absolutely horrified. Eat on the road. She has extreme brand loyalty to Taj or something like that. And she won't eat anywhere else. She's not trying to be smart or anything, trying to be showing off. That's just her. Why can't you appreciate her for what it is? Now, why can't you appreciate the vada pav for what it is? Why should the Taj lady be forced to eat vada pav? Let her eat what she wants. You eat what you want. You know vada pav, Madeline, Ganga, you know vada pav? You don't know vada pav. When you come to visit us in Mumbai, we'll treat you to vada pav. If you come to Mumbai, it is the law that you have to have it. Nobody escapes it in Mumbai. It is, I don't know what, it is the Mumbai burger. It is the most unhealthy, unhygienic food you can have. But it's this city's favorite. Everybody has it. Except the lady who goes to Taj. But other than her, everybody has it. And especially if you go out of the city. If you go a little out also, there's no like good restaurants and all. What are you going to eat? That vada pav is ubiquitous. You will find it everywhere. Every street corner. As many temples as you will find in India, that many vada pav stalls you will find in Maharashtra. Everywhere there is vada pav. And whether you get any other food or not, vada pav is always available. So it's a very, very local kind of food. Now, it is, if you are able to appreciate each person and each thing for what it is, you appreciate the orchard, you appreciate the zoo. Different types of animals in the zoo. Do you say, I don't want to see the tiger, he's so carnivorous? Do you say that? You say, no, it's a tiger. I want to go see the tiger. You don't say, I don't want to see the monkeys, they're so stupid. Oh, the monkeys, I'd love to see the monkeys. See, look how they're jumping. Look, those two are fighting. You don't say, there's a peacock. The peacock is so egoistical and so vain. I don't want to see the peacock. Say, wow, there's a peacock. He's standing and dancing and showing off how beautiful he is. How wonderful. You appreciate, no? Why don't you appreciate people who are vain, who are monkeys or violent? Why not? What's to stop us? You protect yourself, of course. Why not appreciate? The shark is such a killing machine. You know, the shark can smell a drop of blood. I can't remember how much. Is it 20,000? 20 kilometers away? Something like that, some fantastic distance away. One drop of blood. I don't believe his capacity of being a predator. Some human beings are like that. Their capacity, you make one mistake in their presence and swoop, they'll swap down on you. Even if you make that mistake 20 miles away, come on you. Don't you appreciate it? Some people have like that, they can complain for everything. Amazing ability, no? So, what should we do? How do we incorporate all this in our system? You all seem frozen to me. Are you all there still?
Yes, thank you.
Through reflection and introspection.
Very good. Yes. Okay, you're there. Why is all the video frozen? Is it just frozen for me or for you all also?
For a little bit.
No, okay. So, you're right, Priya. How do we implement all this? First thing is, we have to develop the intellect. Means whatever capacity we have of discrimination, we have to heighten it, improve it, better it, so that when our discrimination has improved, we will be able to see better and therefore do better. Okay? So first step in our development process is to develop better discrimination. Because whatever you do in a dark room, you're going to get hit. So step one, when you're trying to clean the room, is put the light on. Imagine you're trying to clean a room in the dark. So step one, put the light on so that at least you can see what is there. All right. So how do you develop better discrimination?
By morning study.
Very good. By morning study. And by study, what do we mean?
Reflection, contemplation.
What is meant by study?
Reflection and
Reflection.
Study, 90% reflection.
I think she cannot hear us.
Janki ji cannot hear.
It's 20% study and 80% reflection.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, good. Yes, I heard Priya say 20% study, and I'm assuming she also said 80% reflection. Remember that it is not the study that will give you, it is not the reading that will give you an intellect. It is the thinking that gives an intellect. It is not listening to the gym instructor that gives you muscles. It is lifting those weights. All right, so discrimination is formed by reflection. When you cannot reflect without information, so the books give you the information. So 20% the taking in of information, 80% thinking on that information. This helps the intellect to discriminate further. Now, what happens sometimes is, even though you know that discrimination, it is not available to you at the right time. For that, you need to
Introspect. 5 minutes at night.
introspect. I think you said that, Priya, because all I heard was in. So I hope you all can hear me and I'm not just talking in the air. So introspection. Can everybody switch their videos off so that hopefully this will work better? Okay, now is it any better because we have reduced?
Yeah,
Can you
now
all
okay.
hear me?
Now it is okay.
Now, okay, all right. So, introspection helps. For us, it is the same. Asha, do you mean that it was never interrupted or it is still no good?
It wasn't interrupted for us. You were having an issue, Janki ji. We were able to hear.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. All right, then I'll just continue on the assumption that you're all there. Where were we? So you introspect at night. 5 minutes. Just recollect the day. Do not praise it. Do not criticize it. Do not analyze it. Do not dissect it. Just remember it. Okay, that is introspection. It should take you no more than 5 minutes. Okay. Now, who will read the next part? Okay. Milind, is it also possible that you have intellect, but you have decided not to use it? Yes, certainly. If you, whatever decision you take is your intellect. If you actually took a decision not to use it, then it's your intellect. But it is also possible that you have an intellect, but it is asleep. When it is asleep, what happens is the mind takes over and the mind starts doing stuff. So that's what possibility. to get rid of that possibility, we try to keep the intellect away. That means you have the discrimination, and the discrimination is functioning at the time you want it to function. Otherwise, mind is doing all sorts of things. It's getting all agitated, and discrimination is bichara falling off to sleep. Okay, so who will read the next? You're okay, Milan?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, sorry. Anyone will read?
I can read, Jankaji.
Please do.
The exercise of introspection is akin to wall practice in the game of tennis. That means practicing strokes against a wall. A line is drawn on the wall at the same height as the regular net in a tennis court. The player plays his shots against the wall to gain proficiency in the game, a practice which helps him later in tournaments. Likewise, introspection helps you become aware of your life's activities, and your intellect becomes available before the action to guide it in the proper direction. Should I summarize this or should I go to the next paragraph?
Okay, you can go to the next paragraph.
Thus, spiritual study and reflection helps you develop a strong intellect and a pure mind, while introspection enables your intellect to be alert. Together, they render your actions more objective, meaningful, purposeful. You get nearer and nearer to the core of your personality. With such stability and objectivity, delve deeper into your personality. What you are looking for in life is bliss and bliss and bliss, nothing less. You search for it in vain in the outside world through your body, mind, intellect. All bliss lies within you. Look for it there. You will find it. You will be absolutely fulfilled, enlightened. So first paragraph is saying, just like before a tournament, practicing tennis will help you. Likewise, introspection will help you.
Not practicing tennis. What is it saying?
A practice which helps him later in tournaments.
So which practice? He's not going and playing the game, right? Practice means you've gone to play tennis.
That's right. Wall practice in the game of tennis will help you prepare for a tournament. Likewise, introspection will help you make the intellect available before the action. So the next paragraph is saying that spiritual study and reflection will help you develop a strong intellect, and this will help you become more help you in your introspection and go deeper into your personality, where you'll find more bliss, and this will lead you to enlightenment.
Yes, correct. So what is introspection? It's like wall practice. What is the difference between wall practice and actual practice? Wall practice is there is no tennis actually being played against the wall, right? So then what is in introspection also, there's nothing actually happening there. You're merely remembering the day. And you may wonder, how does that even work? Why does it work? You can try that at a physical level and you will see. Suppose you're rushing to office, for instance, okay, and you forget some file, and then you reach office and the meeting starts and you realize, oh, my file is not there. Say, oh, that's a real pity, I left it at home. Okay, now you forgot about it. Then now there's nothing you can do, so that's it. Now, next day, you're leaving again, and again you're forgetting the file. And you reach office, and then you remembered, oh God, again I haven't dropped the file. But this time what you did is you went home, you picked up the file and came back. Now next day, what do you think will happen? You will remember it maybe when you're in the traffic to office, because oh God, I'll have to go home from office. You went back, right? So that's a much bigger thing to remember. And then so just as you have, sort of getting in the traffic, you'll remember, oh, I left the file at home. Again, you go back home, you pick it up. Now what will happen? When you're closing the door of your house, you'll remember the file. So when you go back, when you've made that effort of going back and bringing something, since you put more effort, you remember it quicker, because then you know you face the consequences. So instead of actually doing this all physically, you can do it mentally. That you go back and you say, okay, I did that, whatever. And because you went back, you created more awareness of it. So the same instance, same situation which comes back, when it comes back, you'll be able to better deal with it, because you have attended to it mentally. So you can try it and see 5 minutes every day, do your introspection and see how you sort of remember things earlier. Now, with these two practices, which is morning study and the nightly introspection, you start becoming obviously more objective. More objective means your intellect is becoming more and more aware. And if your intellect is aware, your life will become purposeful. Purposeful means you do things with some purpose in mind, not like just mechanically going through. You start thinking questions like, why am I doing this thing? Okay, I spend 5 hours watching television. Every day I'm spending 5 hours watching television. And I ask myself, why am I doing it? When I'm dying, on my last dying bed, will I be thinking how nice it is I watch so much television? Think like that, no? So, when I am dying, what will I be glad that I did? What are those things? And can I do more of those things that made me feel satisfied? That my presence on earth was not completely futile. So as the intellect wakes up, it starts asking some bigger questions. And life becomes more purposeful, more objective, more self-sufficient, and obviously, therefore, more happy, more blissful. And then we're on the right track. The greatest thing about life is to be on the right track, to be walking on the right road. Because if you're walking on the right road, it's a question of time before you reach. If you're on the right road, but you're sitting there, nothing will happen. If you're on the wrong road, you're going off in the wrong direction. But if you're walking on the right road, it's just a question of time. You have determined that you're going somewhere and you are working. It's a question of time before you reach it. And the gods cannot stop this from happening. So in our case, what are we trying to do? We are trying to achieve enlightenment. So as long as we are on the right track, as long as we are working on the right track, it's a question of time. We have to get there. Quite simple, right? So I hope this chapter is clear on self-analysis. Any questions you have? We have 2 minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask. Manish, are you new to the class? I don't think I've seen this name before. Or is it somebody who will just put a wrong name today? I'm slowly getting to know the names of the people who are in the class, the names of all the family members of the people who are in the class, because now I have to identify that when this name is there, it is that one's son, that one's daughter. So Manish, are you?
Yeah, new to the class.
New to the class, okay. So good class you had, because you did a whole chapter in one session.
Yeah.
Was it clear? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, clear.
Okay.
I've read the book, so for me it's a revision.
Oh, okay, very good. Preeti, you're also new, isn't it? Preeti?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm new, yes.
So everything clear?
Yes. Quite a good explanation. Thank you. Actually, I have seen the YouTube videos before, so I'm sort of like following through that. because of time clash, sometimes I cannot join the live
Hmm.
sessions.
Okay, most welcome. Yeah, see, do it either way, same thing. Only advantage in live is if you have a question, you can ask. Otherwise, same thing, however you do it. So, well, okay. So if nobody has anything, as nobody else is new, right? Everybody else is old. Okay, so